Hello and welcome to Paradox, Untold Stories from Athletic Directors with Dr. Danielle Lapointe and Dr. Dustin Smith. We have some crazy and unique stories for you, which are made possible by our sponsor, Wall of Fame. At the Wall of Fame, our mission is to bring your school's legacy to life. We transform school tributes to make it easier than ever to celebrate your whole community, showcasing your school's diverse history, proudest moments, and top role models. We understand that the true value of our Wall of Fame is in your content. Whether you are starting a new tribute or adding to an existing one, we give you all the resources you need to build an interactive experience and take your content to the next level. Speaking of next level, let's check in to see what Danielle and Dustin have for us today.
We have Chris Satterfield with us here today. How are you doing today, Chris?
Good, good. How y'all doing?
Excellent. We're very happy you could be here. We just had to delay it a little bit for some meetings and a fire drill, but we are here finally. So, having a good time. And how are you doing over there today, Dustin?
Man, I'm doing great, and I'm excited. Chris and I got to talk a couple weeks ago before he went on spring break, and got to talk about the opportunity to have him on as a guest. And he was recommended by a mutual friend of ours and somebody who has been on as a previous guest, Mr. Steve Robinson. I text Steve. I said, "All right, I need some suspects. I mean, some prospects, some potential people to get on here." And Chris was one of the first names he sent to me. So I texted Chris and said, "Hey, brother, you've been nominated." And Chris was willing to jump on board, and he thought this was a great idea. So, man, Chris, I'm excited. Thank you for taking a chance on us and jumping on here. And I look forward to a fun conversation.
Absolutely. I'm honored. Thank you all very much for putting me in the lineup as one of the suspects. As far as the volunteer.
The
I
great
appreciate
thing about this
it.
is, and we'll talk about this for just a second because Danielle referenced it. We've had to we've had to halt this a couple times. One because of an emergency meeting on one of our ends, and then one because of um, a fire drill. And Chris had to be part of the fire drill, and so
Yes.
it was not one of those where he could just brush that off. And
No, because he
I,
evacuated for it, Dustin. He left the
right,
building when the fire drill
Yes.
happened.
Yes.
which kids listen at home, that's what you do when there's a
Yeah.
fire drill or a tornado drill. You do what you're supposed to do. That way,
Absolutely.
when the situation is real, you know
Mhm.
what to do. And so
Absolutely.
um, Chris was patient with us, and we're able to get him on. I'm looking forward to this. So, Chris, I like to start this conversation this way. We can talk about all your accolades in North Carolina. We can talk about our mutual friends. We can talk about what you do on a daily basis. But what I like to ask is, tell me what the resume doesn't tell me about who Chris Satterfield is. Who are you when you're not doing this crazy world of athletic administration?
Absolutely. Well, because of this crazy world of athletic administration, I do have a family. So I have a beautiful wife, I have three kids, two daughters and a son. So my oldest daughter, she's 13. My middle daughter, she's 11, and my son, who's 4, who is a ball of energy. And so my wife, she's also within the education system as well, event planning and things of that nature. So I spend a lot of time, little time, with my family as much as I can. So that's where you'll find me is, with my family, doing fun things. In spring break, we were traveling, and of course, we're here in Charlotte, so we have Carowinds, so we do that. We do movies. My favorite thing to do, or favorite food, is pizza. I can eat pizza 7 days a week, 366 days a year, every
All the
single
meals.
day. So all the meals. I have no idea. Different pizzas, Papa John's, mellow mushroom, Domino's, you name it. Fuse pizza. I love it. So that's always my go-to. And then I enjoy when I get a chance to golf. Believe it or not. So I kind of got into golf for a few years. A very very challenging game, but I love it because once you hit the ball one good time, you fall in love. At least I did anyway. So I
Yeah,
love the golf. I would love to learn how to fish, but I haven't learned how to fish. My father took me fishing many years ago. I was about 12 years old, I believe. And unfortunately, we were out on one of his friend's boats, and the hook got caught in between his thumb and index finger. And after that, I was, he was done with teaching me fishing, and I was done with fishing. So, so I had never been back to fishing or what have you. So those are just a few things, just really enjoy, my family and enjoy pizza, enjoy movies, just to relax, honestly, I think that's the thing. We pour so much into others that I just like to relax, honestly. I used to work out, so my workouts now are run up and down the Greenway with my son and his ATV and riding bikes with my kids. So that's my exercise there. And of course, as ADs, we probably get in at least, 85,000 steps a week. So that's my exercise there.
If you're consuming all that pizza, you're going to have some steps.
That's right.
You're going to do that every meal. But
that's right.
And I like how you gave shout outs to all kinds of different pizza makers. It wasn't just one.
Yes.
There's not just one go-to. You like to spread the wealth.
No, Chris doesn't discriminate against pizza.
No, I do not. So they laugh at me because I do enjoy, and I'm not ashamed of it, right? I'm very secure in my manhood. Pineapples on pizza. Pineapples do belong on pizza.
I got you. You aren't alone there, Chris.
That's right. That's right. So
I don't know if right now is a good time to publicly admit this, but I don't like pizza.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I only pizza that I'll eat. I don't like red sauce, but I do. I'll eat white pizza. I do like white pizza.
Okay. Well, you're forgiven.
Okay. All right.
There you go. Oh man.
Yeah. I, Chris, am with you. I can eat pizza. I've got a 13-year-old daughter who loves pizza. Like every meal, she could do pizza. And I'm just like, okay, we've had pizza. I need a break from pizza, but she loves it. She could eat it every meal, every day. She's just all in on that. So my daughter would be with you.
Yes.
And I can imagine with 3 kids, 13 or younger, you don't get a whole lot of rest time. You're probably chasing kids around like crazy.
I know. You're here at work, and then you go home, and it's just like, if I do have an early day. So for me, the early day may be 5 or 6, and as soon as I get home, my son, Daddy, the girls, Daddy, and it's just like, all right, let's play cards, let's do this, let's do that. So it's just like I get that much of rest. And so I'm up till. You guys know I'm 11, 12, sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning and get right back up at 5 the next day. So I don't know how I do it. I don't know how we do it.
I like the realization that just happened right there. Your face was like, wait, how do we do
it? Yeah.
How do we do it? Yesterday I was walking around our office, and at 4 o'clock our employees get to go home. And so I walked down the hallway at 4:05, and it was a ghost town. I mean, nobody was around. And I tell people that's when my second day starts.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to whatever event happens after 4, and they're all at home and enjoying that. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. But that, like Danielle said, the realization that how in the world do we do that?
How do we do it? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's a crazy world we're in. Let's talk about this, Chris. You talked about being in North Carolina. We talked about it briefly. You talked about Charlotte. Paint on the map for our geographically challenged people where Charlotte is in the United States and specifically in North Carolina.
Absolutely. So in Pacific and North Carolina, we are southwest. So we're just at the tip, I guess you would say north east of South Carolina. So right there in the tip, we're literally 10, 15 minutes from Rock Hill, South Carolina. So we're right there on the, I guess if you had a foot, so the arc of your foot, kind of the bottom level of your foot area. So down there, also by Gastonia, not too far from Concord, not too far from Hickory, those particular areas there. So that's where we are. Queen City.
I will say this: you are the first person that's ever referenced the map like a foot. The arch of the foot. So that's a first on Paradox, for at least for me.
Yeah. So that's what I see anyway. That's where my mind goes. So yeah.
So how long have you been at Butler, Chris?
I've been at Butler since 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I think
prior to
I think if I read your info sheet correctly, there's a story involving this your tenure there and what that looks like. So we'll jump into that in a minute. But what made you get into this athletic administration profession? What drew you to it?
Absolutely. Well, this is 16 here at Butler. I was a AD at West Charlotte in 2012. So I came from Raleigh, coaching and doing those things there, and it was kind of one of those things. You know how people say, it just kind of fell into your lap. It really wasn't something that I don't know. It wasn't like an aspiration or a goal or anything of those natures. But as a coach, and just kind of working with kids individually and just advocating for them individually and collectively as well too. I had quite a few parents and even some administration staff say, "Hey, have you considered being an athletic director?" And I looked at my athletic director when I was in high school, and I'm thinking to myself, like, "Huh, that might not be a bad idea." I just remember him; he was always working out with us, just doing different things, right? And so I had the opportunity to come from Raleigh, Wake County, and travel with my former principal, who is now a community superintendent, along with my a good friend of mine, best friend of mine, who's actually now a principal back in Wake County. And they gave me a shot, and I have loved it and enjoyed it since. It's a lot of hard work, but there's a lot of service in what we do. One of the things I love about what we do is being able to coach coaches. Coaching kids is one thing. Being able to coach the adults is a different level. So
now we talked about a previous guest, and he talked about he had the shortest coaching tenure in both tennis and softball. Did you coach either one of those two sports?
You know what? Ironically, today starts my day one of coaching golf because it is going to be very short.
Wait. We need to stop this episode and start tomorrow. We need to restart this conversation tomorrow.
Yeah. So I've had I wouldn't say the worst of luck, but I've had some interesting things that happened this year with my golf program, and so my interim coach unfortunately kind of stepped away yesterday afternoon, and so I've been meeting with the kids and the parents and those things, and we have conference tournament coming up, and so I'm working on scores and those things there. So I'll probably end up being in this position for maybe a week, so that'd be pretty short.
Yeah, but Steve was in it for a day. He went to tennis and got fired there, and then he went to softball, and the girls got rid of him and said, "We'll just wait." He was googling drills and all kinds of stuff and YouTube and stuff. But so there's a reason why I asked that question. But we told you when we got into this, we're going to have a conversation, just going to have some fun, and part of this is what Danielle loves is the stories. And I know from you filling out the info sheet for us and kind of just touching on your story that you wanted to start with. So let's jump right into that and give the listeners the tale of the tape.
The old crap story.
Yes. So I started here at 16 and, different school and just trying to get acclimated with some of the kids and the coaches and so forth. And so they, have a student faculty, game, and this student faculty game was a little different than what I have been a part of previously. So normally they're basketball. Well, this one was dodgeball, right? And so I'm like, okay, So I ended up, a few days beforehand, I got a new pair of sneakers and, and being an AD, of course, it was going on, but you still have stuff to do. And so they out there in the gym and I'm in my office, I'm lacing up. And I go out there like, "Coach, are you going to warm up?" I'm like, "Warm up?" I'm like, I was a D1 athlete. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm still in shape a little bit at the time anyway. And so, we go out there and, my rotation comes and the next thing you know, they're like, "Yeah, coach. So I reach down and I grab the ball and I hear this, this loud noise. And I go, and I wish you guys can see me, and I go, and I'm turning my hips, but my legs are not moving. And so I ended up tearing my Achilles, and they're like, "Coach, come on, man, stop playing." I'm like, "I'm not playing." And literally, my feet were stuck to the ground. And from that point forward, now the kids are like, so now they're like, "Hey, coach, tell us that story again. Like, how did you tear your Achilles? So remember the student balcony game? So because it wasn't basketball, it was like, oh, that's right, it was dodgeball. It was dodgeball. So I ended up tearing my Achilles in dodgeball a few years ago. So now they're like, Coach, you gonna play? I'm like, nope, I'm not playing anything. I don't move my feet for anything now. So that is the running joke that we have here. Is like Coach Satterfield he tore his Achilles in dodgeball. So
well, you weren't even like doing like a cool Matrix move. You were just picking up the ball.
Picking up the ball. Just picking up the ball. And I picked up the ball and I went to just turn and I heard a very loud noise and it was in my inner ear. And I'm just like, what is that? And I'm, again, being an athlete, I'm thinking I'm, moving. I'm not moving anywhere. My feet were literally stuck to the ground. One of the craziest injuries that I've had, and I've had quite a few. That was it. And the kids were laughing at me too. I was like, wow, like y'all are cold blooded.
I want to go back to I want to go back to you being in the office saying you were lacing up. You were getting ready for the. I mean, you had your game face on, no stretching. You were just lacing up. You bought new sneakers. You're ready to show those kids what you were about.
Absolutely.
And I've never heard of a faculty-student dodgeball game.
You know what's funny, Dustin? We haven't had one since.
Well, no question.
Right. we haven't had one since.
Student dodgeball game.
Yeah, we haven't had one. So they've gone back to basketball, ironically. So we haven't had one since. And that was my first time as well. So I'm like, I'm going to show them up, And again, I'm the new kid on the block, per se, being a new AD, being a new staff member. So I'm like, I'm going to show them. They kind of, hey, I heard you play, football and those things. They're in college. Yeah, so I already had the staff members. I had the kids. I had them all lined up with who I was going to get out, who I was going to tag. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. So
you had a hit list in your dodgeball game, and it really came back to haunt you.
Yeah.
What about pain? Like, you haven't mentioned pain. You just mentioned like your legs didn't move, and the kids were laughing. But like, did it hurt? Were you in pain at all?
I was probably more in shock than anything. I mean, my adrenaline was going because I'm up here like I'm about to kick butt today. I'm about to kick butt today, and so that adrenaline just kept going. I think finally I ended up going to the urgent care, emergency room, and those things there. The pain was okay. I was still able to limp, walk, what have you. But there was a lot of pain. It was probably more pain of my ego than anything. The pain in my leg.
So
yes.
Let me ask you this question, Chris. At what point did you say this was a terrible idea? Was it when you heard the pop, or when you just? I'm assuming, did you fall to the ground, or did you just stay standing the whole time?
I stayed standing. I hit the ground. I think when I went down and tried to get back up, that's when I realized this was not a good idea. And I was upset. I said, I should have stretched. This wouldn't have happened if I stretched.
Was there video in the gym that you were using?
You know what? I don't know. We have the Pixelite cameras now. I think we maybe had the security cameras. So I'm going to say no. So no footage.
Yeah, good answer, Chris. Yeah. Nobody needs to know if there was.
Yes. No footage.
I know the kids at my school, and what would have happened, even if they would have thought I was joking around. But two, they would have said it's fair game, and I'm just going to unleash a fury on Dustin just because he's there. So did you get hit by any kid or any ball while you were there?
You know what? No one came to help me. They just kept playing.
Nobody defended you? Nothing?
Nothing. They just kept playing. And it was like, wow, just leaving me out here, huh? So no one came to help me. They just kept playing. I was finally able to kind of limp myself off, what have you. I think I may have had one person to come and check on me after that. And they were just like, they were still playing. They were really intense. So thankfully they didn't unleash on me, but they also didn't come and check on me either.
So you eliminated yourself. You didn't have anybody hit you, and
absolutely, yeah.
And you didn't even get to throw the ball. You just bent down to pick it up.
I didn't get to throw the ball. Exactly. I think I dropped the ball after that.
No, you should have been like being carried out of there on a stretcher with balls, just like throwing them as you left.
Exactly.
The gym.
Exactly.
Man.
What was the conversation like with your wife after this happens?
Oh, she was like, what happened? Like, what in the world happened? You know what I mean? Like, how did you do this? And I was ashamed to say it was dodgeball. I really was. Basketball might have been a little bit better, but dodgeball, oh man. So
I don't even know if the sport's relevant. I mean, it was more of what you were doing. Like you could have been doing the coolest move ever, right? But you were.
yeah, I was
Maybe you should be in the story from now on. Maybe you should
right.
Especially if there's no video, Chris. You can tell how
Right.
you want to tell it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, she was laughing, but that now then she likes to tell our friends, well, tell everybody how you tore your Achilles. I'm like, really? So
So,
that's the story now.
This might have been a blessing in disguise, because now you have a way out of all other activities that you have to do. You're like, nope, I'm not doing it
Yep.
anymore. So no one will second guess you or try to get you to do it. You're like, nope. So you kind of like bailed out like early on those in your career. Maybe that's like a silver lining here.
Yes, absolutely. A good silver lining too, because they've gone to it was funny because they went to, you remember we went outside, they did another staff one. You know the little like the bubble balls that they have?
yeah.
So you get into the bubble balls and you run and you ram into each other. Well, we had another staff member, unfortunately, she actually broke her leg.
What are you guys doing at your school?
Oh,
you have dodgeball and you're in bubble balls running into each other.
Right.
But the bubble ball was a craze for a while. It was one of those where you just you got a license to just go smooth run into people.
Exactly. Yep. And that was a year or two after my incident. So I was like, they was like, hey, Coach Satterfield, we're glad it wasn't you. I'm like, me too. So I was fine. But yeah, so.
Did you get in the bubble ball after that, or did you?
I didn't touch a bubble ball. I watched from a distance. I don't even officiate. I just watch.
So let me ask this: because you had the walk of shame or the limp of shame, where you had to get off the court limping. So I've seen Achilles injuries, and I've seen people on the little scooter where they had to just roll around, one leg kind of propped up. Is that what you had to do for a lengthy period of time afterwards?
Yes, sir. A lengthy period of time. Yes. So I ended up getting surgery, and it was funny because I overhydrated, so I could not have surgery the first time. So I had to go back like a week later, and after that I had surgery, and the surgery was so fast. It was only like 45 minutes, and then after that I was in a cast boot, had the little scooter. I did that. I mean, it was that scooter. You talk about a tricep workout. That was another workout. I mean, my triceps were, I was huge. Just roll around that scooter. It looks cool, but I don't recommend it. I really don't. I don't recommend it.
So was it your right leg or your left leg?
My left.
So your right leg got to work out too, because you had to use that to get around.
Absolutely, yeah. I had to. Yeah, my right leg got to work out, and ironically, in high school, I broke my right leg, so I've had some injuries, man. It's just been one thing after the next. So,
what season was this for you?
Winter basketball.
Okay, but that's okay though. I feel like that's better because, I mean, imagine how hard it would have been if it was football season and you're trying to get up to the press box with your wheels. Your peg leg, just trying to get up there. I feel like that would have been a lot more difficult. So at least you were on one level for this.
Yep.
But that probably made other aspects of your job very difficult, right? Like 80s are physical. They're all over the place. They're helping wherever they can, whether that's sweeping a floor or fixing a roof leak or whatever we're possibly doing. But not having use of one of your limbs is really going to put a damper on that.
That was tough. That was really tough. So we transitioned from winter to spring, so everything is outdoor. So I had my scooter, and I said, I need to get a cart. So I now have a golf cart to kind of help me around. So that was, but still, with during that time, it was very difficult. I mean, like you said, just being restricted to doing certain things, but I had a good team. My coaches, they rallied around. They joked me, but they rallied around. Say, hey, You want me to reach that light bulb for you? What you want me to do? You know, so they were really really fun during that time. So
It sounds like it wasn't just your coaches who were riding you a little bit. Your wife was, even to this
yes,
point, to this day,
absolutely.
she's telling, "Hell, tell people how
Yeah,
you tore your Achilles." And
yeah. To this day, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And when I go out with our son at ATV, she said, "All right, you be careful. We don't need another Achilles injury." So
This is a really cool thing that you brought up because I feel like this is a part of AD's jobs that we really don't talk about, right? Like you're expected to participate in the student faculty activities and games. And not only are you expected to participate, but you're expected to like excel at them, like be
mhm,
good at them, right?
mhm.
So I feel like, you're highlighting that because it's a thing that happens every year annually across the whole country, and I'm sure that there are injuries from that more than we realize, whether it's dodgeball or bubble ball or
Absolutely.
softball or basketball. So I think that's a really cool thing you're bringing up because it's a part of the job, whether we like it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, and
absolutely.
I mean, his story is that he got hurt playing dodgeball, but the injury occurred picking up the ball.
Picking up the ball.
I mean,
Yes, picking up
it
the
wasn't
ball.
like he was the last guy and he was, he was the pride of the faculty getting ready to take out the one student. This was before it all got going.
Yes,
Poor,
before it all got going. Exactly. Before
poor
it all
Chris.
got going.
I didn't think we would highlight that part so much.
All right. Yeah, before we got on. Yep. Mr.
Yeah.
Pivot Man. Yep.
I mean,
Oh
I
man.
think I would have, I mean, I may have been one that would have, you know, screamed and made a big scene of it. But it's like you just walked off. You just like, okay, I'm going to the bench.
Look,
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm out. Yes, I'm out. I was like I said, my ego was torn up that day. Yeah, I'm out. And
Now
no
here's the
shame,
question: Is that workman's comp?
It was.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was. Yeah. It was. It really was. Yeah. It really was. Yeah, believe it or not, that was exactly it was. So I went through that whole process as well. You if you've never been through it, if you and if you have, and I'm not a lawyer, physician, and those things, there, but please take care of your paperwork real quick. But yeah,
Well, I think
you have to do
that hits on a lot of levels, not just workman's comp, but any AD would tell you take care of your paperwork really quick.
really quick.
Get on
Yep.
top of that. That's why physicals are important. That's why your CPR stuff's important. That's why all these checklists that we have are important. And you've lived that. I mean, you
Yep.
understand that dealing with the workman's comp side. Not probably the way you wanted to, but experience
Right.
sometimes is the best teacher.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree. Take care of your paperwork immediately.
I mean, I just think about, I mean, your coaches rallied around you, but I'm still bothered that nobody came and checked on you.
Nobody.
I mean, you just walked off, limped off, whatever you want to say,
Yep.
and not anybody checking. Hey,
No,
Chris, you good? You good, coach?
nobody. Nobody. They laughed at me from the stands and from the bleachers, but no. And I think they thought I was playing. I think that's what it was. It was like, he's playing. He's okay. No, I was really injured. Not hurt. I was injured.
So
Both
let me ask
ligaments.
this. That was year one at that school, right? That was year
Yes.
one at Butler. If you're now here 7 years, 8 years, whatever you want to call it, would that reaction have been different now than it was early on?
Oh, it probably been worse now. It probably worse now. Like,
They still would have checked on you, is what you're telling me?
they might have picked me up and said, "Come on, keep playing. Come on, you're not hurt. You're not injured. Come on, man. Let's go." So, nah, it might have. Nah, they probably still would have checked me on. Yeah, they are. I have a good group of coaches. They're really fun. Really, really fun. So they would have checked, especially my wrestling coach. Oh my goodness, this guy he is a jokester. We actually had a couple memes. Now that was hopefully we can't find them, but they did a couple memes of me during that time, my wrestling coach. So that was pretty cool. That was fun.
I'd like to see those.
Yeah, I don't.
So let me ask you this, Chris. Have you seen the movie Dodgeball?
Oh no.
I've seen the movie Dodgeball. Yes.
So
Yeah.
you could,
I've seen it.
It
I mean, I
wasn't
could have
like that.
spun it a lot of ways. I could have said, man, I was dodging a wrench. I was
Right.
doing whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could have spun that thing, but you had too many witnesses there to argue
Too
with.
many. Yep. Too many. Absolutely. Too many. My tennis coach now, she still points it out. So I had too many
Did
witnesses.
anybody else hear the pop, or was it just you and your inner ear?
Me and my inner ear. So I think they thought I was, a little off that day. No, yeah. Yes, it was me and my inner ear. And to this day,
Was it?
uh,
It wasn't your fault, Chris. It was the shoes.
it was a shoe. It's right. It was the shoes. It was the shoes. Yep. It
This
was the
wasn't you.
shoes. Yep. I had, and well, I shouldn't say this, but I had, how we do these deals at schools. I'm going to say a particular brand. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. There was a particular brand that we had signed with, and I ended up investing in that particular brand. And I think from that point forward, I was like, let me go back to this other brand. So,
So you weren't just out on the dodgeball court; you were out on the apparel deal too.
right. Yeah, absolutely. So,
As you think back to that moment, and as ads, we want to be involved. We want to help our kids. We want to be a part of that process. And I'm sure there were a couple kids you were thinking, yeah, I'm gonna hit that kid's on my list, and that kid's on my list, and that kid's definitely on my list. So you were rolling through this in your mind prior to bending down picking up this ball, and then when you turned, I mean, you said it, Division I athlete, you played at the college level, didn't play dodgeball clearly, but you bend down, pick it up, and all of a sudden the upper body's moving, but your legs aren't.
The legs are not moving. Legs are not moving.
Trying to process that in my mind, trying to figure, okay, I know I walked in here just fine. I walked out on this court just fine. I mean, I laced up my sneakers just fine. And now I'm out here and I'm not just fine.
Right. I'm not just fine. And you said it. I had a group of again, kids, as I'm lacing up my sneakers in my office. I had all right, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to light them up, as the kids say. And so, and after that, as I've been down, and it all out the window, just all out the window.
You had a list in year one. I mean, this wasn't 7 or 8 years worth of, hey, I saw this kid as a 7th grader. I know who I'm taking out. This was just.
It was the winter season. It was the winter season, Dustin. He had some time with them already.
Yeah, he had some time, but he didn't have history. He had some time, but he didn't have 6 or 7 years seeing these kids growing as a 7th grader on up.
Well, because of what happened, it's probably good that he didn't have those history with them.
That's true. That's true. But you have these being a competitor. You know how you have the kids like, oh, you were nothing back in the day, and it's like, all right, once the opportunity comes up, I'm going to show you. And I just knew dodgeball is my opportunity. I'm going to show them. That was it.
Didn't come for you. The
No,
opportunity.
it did not.
Yeah, that's a bad experience for you.
Bad.
And Danielle makes a great point. You think about the line of duty that we're in. And it's not like you're running into buildings and they're on fire. I mean, you're putting out situations. I get all that. But the amount, you said it early on, the amount of steps that we put in as ADs and the things that we have to do, and you were prohibited from doing that. I mean, with your scooter, you couldn't go all terrain and couldn't go to all the places that maybe you have to go to shortcut or whatever. So it really had to alter what you did as an AD.
Absolutely. You know what? We can plan, excuse me, as much as we can, of course, for our day, but as ADs, it's just, anything can happen. But I really found myself having to utilize, that's when I really started to build more relationships within the building, because I had to depend on my coaches and other staff members to help me. So I ended up developing teams, and so what I would do is, and I still to this day, any chance that I get, I give gift cards, and I feed my volunteers or whoever that can assist me, because I remember me being out, it really did impede, my ability to do my job effectively or to the way I wanted to. And so I think during that time, I increase my gratitude and my thankfulness for those around me to assist me, to do my job accordingly. So I think that really helped me in my injury is to say, you know what, I'm very because people don't have to do for you. They don't owe you anything. It's your job, it's your responsibility. You figure it out. And so I had to figure it out. Hey, let me get these people on board.
Well, and that's even harder. That's a hard thing what you said anyway. That's a difficult task, but you had to figure that out year one. So that makes it a whole nother level. So, props to you for being able to do that. And props to you for highlighting something that really I've forgotten about. That's just a thing we have to do, annually as ADs or even as faculty at a school, administrators, right? Every kid wants the administrators out there playing and they want to see us look silly. And unfortunately they got the ultimate with you. But these just highlight some really good points of the extra stuff that we're doing. And we could potentially put ourselves in harm's way. So yeah, way to figure that out and like keep with it too. You're still here. You weren't like, no, I'm out. I'm done.
I'm still here. I just don't do dodgeball.
Or bubble ball.
Right, or bubble ball, right.
But you think about that, Chris. You had that perspective because of what happened to you, about being thankful for those around you and taking care of those who have helped you out, knowing that you can't do it on your own. You had that injury, and then in 2020 we had COVID happen. And then we were just happy to play. And we had to build relationships. And I used to think all the time, what if I'm not here? What if I get COVID? How are things going to go on? How are things going to get done? Because we're used to doing all kinds of things. So the perspective changed a little bit. And then it allowed us to say, hey, I got to depend on this person. And I need to depend on this person. And you got that first hand or first leg, whatever you want to call it, where you had to deal with that just early on in your tenure there. But it helped you, I would assume it helped you in this process as we dealt with COVID, as we dealt with all these other issues, because you've already built those relationships and understand the value of those.
Absolutely. It was almost like that time was a time of building a foundation. And so when COVID hit, because we had already been kind of operating in such a manner, during my injury, everyone that was still here during that time kind of knew, hey, all right, got to do this, got to do that. And they understood that if I asked them to do something, it wasn't out of demanding. It was, hey, we need to, provide, foster this and support this and, and do this, you know what I mean? And so, and also it was almost kind of a mentor-mentee situation to where I was able to cultivate with my head coaches, hey, also provide them roles and responsibilities as well too. Because as you just said, Dustin, what if you're not here? We still have to be able to service, our community and the kids and things of that nature. So it has really kind of been a part of our culture here of where we are each one teach one, if you may, and building, champions.
Well, I love the perspective, and I think that's a great reminder for us as ADs that network is important, and those people, those relationships you have on campus are huge because you're going to need them. And it's not that you're lazy, it's not that you're not able to do something. It's just that you're going to need them because you can't be. I've tried. I can't figure out how to be in 3 places at one time, and so you're going to need some people to be able to step up and say, "Hey, not only do I need you, I'm going to trust you to handle this situation. Yes. I'm going to trust you to be where you need to be. And I've poured into you so that you're prepared for that moment." And so I think there's some vital points, even in this painful story for you physically, that we're able to bring some stuff for ADs that are listening to say, hey, make sure you understand the value of those around you. Absolutely. And don't just try to do it all yourself. Invest in others and have them learn and take on some responsibility themselves.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Yep. I trust you. That goes a long way. I trust you and I believe in you. It goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. It does.
So I'm gonna guess this. When I see you at the national convention, you're not gonna want to play dodgeball. If I propose that we're gonna have a dodgeball tournament.
No dodgeball, no wiffle ball, no foosball.
No, you know
what?
What?
About football? If you're gonna play football, are you good?
No football. Listen, nothing would have. You know what? We'll play cards. How about that?
It's funny because I think it was Russ Waterman who joked about, we need to spat it up every time we go out on the field, and I feel like you could have used that episode back then. You could have just spat it up. You laced up. You should have spatted it up, and you should have went out there and gave it your all.
Absolutely.
Chris needed us back in 2016. He didn't need us in 2023.
Right.
No, we're late for Chris.
2016.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
I
Chris,
appreciate you.
I'm going to say this, man. I appreciate you letting us laugh at your expense some and the pain that you went through. I appreciate you being a great sport and jumping on here and telling a story that, we've had a wide variety of stories of ADs and what they've had to deal with. I don't know if we've had anybody that's been injured in the line of duty like this. So this is a first for us.
I agree. Yep.
But I appreciate your willingness to get on here, and I think there's some awesome takeaways from this as well. Your perspective is great. Your reflection is good. It maybe not have been great in the moment because you had to just endure that for a while, and now this may dredge up some painful memories. But at the end of the day, it's been beneficial to our ADs and the people that are listening, because I think it's something that we need to listen to if we'll really sit and digest what was said.
Absolutely.
And I feel like maybe your going out message is like, it's okay to say no to the student faculty game.
Yes, it is okay.
If
you need ways to do that, call Chris and he'll tell you.
Got you.
Yes, it is okay. Matter of fact, be the first one in line to say no.
Yeah, and that's difficult for ADs. It's hard for us to say no sometimes, but Chris is living proof of the reason why you need to say no.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
But Chris, I appreciate your flexibility with us this morning, trying to get this recorded and jumping on right after your fire drill and you evacuated. I appreciate your commitment to this, and I look forward to many more conversations as the years go on where I can pick your brain. And I'm glad we've connected and glad we got a friend now in North Carolina that we can bounce ideas off of and talk to. So I appreciate you, brother, taking a chance on us.
Absolutely. I appreciate you and Danielle as well. I'm glad I did not get injured during the fire drill to be able to do this.
Or during the podcast.
Right, or during the podcast, right.
Yes, thank you very much. And
thank you.
That wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our sponsor, Wall of Fame, who excels at telling your school's stories and supports us in telling ours. Check out the description of this episode for a link to receive a discount on all Wall of Fame products. We are looking forward to the next story and hope you are too.